Hello guys, good morning, Teacher Krishna here, and welcome to our next class for the 4th unit. This is a class that is part of Beehive School in 7th grade. We are working on the subject science, and our week is number 28. So be welcomed, everyone. We are going to go over our ending mind at first, which is the following. Students will be able to use Canva to synthesize the content from lesson number 1. Alright, and now let's go with a small summary of the activities that you need to complete today, which are a little bit different from what you are used to. So number 1, access the platform Canva and make a mind map about the information from the lesson. Remember to read page 137. So if you go to Google and you write down Canva, then you are going to be able to actually go to this platform. And of course, after you have already read all of the information from the chapter, you need to actually summarize it in a mind map. I'm going to give you a small example later on. And you need to attach this summary to your notebook. Okay, so if you can actually print it, that'll be great. You can print the mind map and then paste it in your notebook. And if you can't, then what you can actually do is make a drawing or make a mind map directly in your notebook. Those two are the possibilities. Then number 2, complete the book exercises from pages 134 to 137. And we are going to complete the exercises from page 137 during the live session, all right? So just complete the rest, and we are going to be taking a look at that right there. And then number 3, create a compilation of your work in one document. It can be Word or PDF, and upload it to Educativa, please. And another observation, since you need to have a record in your notebook, it is very important that you include date, the ending mind, the title, and then you include, of course, the mind map that you have. All right, so basically you have to go to canva.com and you are going to find many visuals or many mind maps, just like this one that you have right there. So just like in this mind map, you can include the title of our topic right here in the middle, and then several information all around. Then one more time, you can print it and include it in your notebook. If you don't have a printer, you can just draw it. All right, and here you have the rubric that I'm going to use to check the mind map that you are going to have. So I'm going to check creativity, the research or the information, and the spelling and grammar. All right, and then we go to the section for creativity. It will say the following. Creativity is original and thought and demonstrated knowledge of the project expectations. Regarding research exceeds the required level of understanding. And lastly, when we talk about spelling and grammar, excellent use of standard English with minimal or no mistakes. So please take it into consideration when creating your mind map, please. All right, and after all of that explanation, now we are going to go over our topic, which is volcanoes and plate tectonics. So this is a very interesting place in the world, and we're going to see why. This is Mount Erebus. It is located on Antarctica. It is placed at a region where material from Earth's mantle rises and melts. So just like lava is going to be exposed out of volcanoes and out of boundaries around Earth, right? So specifically here in Mount Erebus, it is located at a very cold place, which is Antarctica, right? So actually lava is going to start coming up the volcano, and then it is going to cool down due to the cool temperatures. And of course, then it is going to generate what we have right over here, which is an elevated volcano in an elevated piece of land. And where are volcanoes found on Earth's surface? This is interesting. And we are going to compare the use of magma and lava whenever we are analyzing the creation of volcanoes. So first of all, what is a volcano, or how does it form? It forms when magma or other molten materials reach the surface. So basically the materials start coming up, and let's suppose that when it cools down, we're going to have like one layer of magma. And after it cools down, we're going to have another layer and another layer until it continues piling up. And of course, later on, we're going to have our volcano with all of its components. Then we're going to have magma. I'm sorry, that should be an M right there. Magma. M. It is a mixture of rock-forming substances, gases, and water that come from the mantle. And right over here we have magma versus lava. When magma reaches the surface, it's called lava. All right, so when are we going to call this substance magma? We're going to call it magma when it is located at the mantle. Okay, remember we have crust and the mantle right below. So when are we going to call it lava? So when magma actually rises up and it reaches the crust, it reaches Earth's crust and the surface in general, then of course we're going to call it lava. That's basically the main difference that we have. Right, we have volcanoes and plate boundaries. How are they related to each other? So probably this picture brings you some memories about some other topics that we were studying before. And basically volcanoes form at the top of plate boundaries. So what we have right over here at the bottom is a plate boundary in which you can observe that magma is rising up. And of course, right over here, we have the formation of different landforms. We have volcanic belts, which are a series of volcanoes that are related to each other since they're part of the same plate boundary. All right, so this is the Hawaiian Ridge. And basically, all of the volcanoes and all of the mountains that were formed right over here are connected to each other because they are part of the same plate boundary. So let's imagine that there is a big line of magma, and that piece of magma is rising from different places. And later on, we're going to form a lot of volcanoes, which are connected to the same magma or to the same boundary. That's why we call it volcanic belts. They can form when two plates pull apart from each other, and it facilitates magma to come out of the mantle. And the Ring of Fire. It is the biggest ring of volcanoes. It includes all the volcanoes from the Pacific Ocean. So this is just a very small example of one of the volcanic belts in which we can include 4 volcanoes that are connected to the same boundary or to the same body of magma. But there are some other volcanic belts that are way bigger, such as the Ring of Fire. I remember I had a map right here, exactly. So notice right over here, these white lines are part of the plate boundaries. And of course, all of this line that you see right over here is the Ring of Fire. So in the Ring of Fire, a lot of volcanoes are going to connect to the same plate boundary or to the same body of magma. And just like you can notice, we're going to start from the East Australia. It goes close to Asia. It goes through North America. It goes from Central America and South America. So a lot of volcanoes are connected to each other, and even some of the volcanoes that we have in Guatemala can be part of the Ring of Fire. All right. Now we have diverging boundaries. So volcanoes from at the mid-ocean reaches. So this is basically a mid-ocean reach, where you notice that there is a body of magma right over here, and it comes up and it cools down later on with the water. Remember that magma tends to go out of the center of the mid-ocean reach. So in diverging boundaries, you know that mid-ocean reaches can form. And later on, with the pass of time, we are going to be having several volcanoes later on. And now we have converging boundaries. And volcanoes form close to converging boundaries. And converging boundaries are basically where two plate tectonics are colliding, let's say. One plate moves to the mantle and it carries water that interacts with the melting point of the mantle. water rises from the mantle to the crust, and later on, magma follows its path and a volcano is generated. So let's suppose that we have the crust and we have the mantle right over here. So you know that converging boundaries are colliding to each other, but one of them is going to come down, let's say, it's going to come inside the mantle. So this one specifically is going to have some water. So when water starts heating up because of the high temperatures, it is going to try to go up, and it is going to like open a little path for magma to follow up later on. And when magma follows up and it reaches the surface, volcanoes just like the ones that are here in the picture are formed. And we have an island arc, which are the volcanoes generated a chain of islands. Just like the Hawaiian chain that I showed you before, the same thing happens right over here. We have different islands that were formed, but they are somehow connected. All right, guys, so that's it for today's lesson. Thank you for coming, and I will see you in a couple of minutes during the Zoom session. So goodbye, everyone, and take care.